This demonstration we're going to look at creating public folders. Public folders are quite handy little things. What they allow us to do is they allow us to just store information that we want to share out with many users. So to do all of this, we have our public folder management console, and the public folder management console is the primary utility for actually creating the folders. What we could also use as well is we could also use the Exchange management shell to do this task, or if we really wanted to, we could also use Microsoft Outlook, which, to be honest, is my preferred method of creating public folders. So what I'm going to do here is just launch the public folder management console. Okay, it's up and running now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a default public folder for my IT department. So I'll call it IT. Click New. Goes away, creates my new public folder for my IT department. Click my Finish button. Now that that's created, I can right click on it and just have a look at the properties. And what we can see on the general page here, we're going to maintain per user read and unread information for this folder. So once user accesses the folder, reads it, next person accesses, still unread. Statistics, currently nothing in there, I've just created the folder. Replication tab's quite handy. So currently I have a copy of all of the content sitting on van EX1. Now we don't have database availability groups to protect public folders, so the way we protect it is we replicate the contents to an Exchange server. I happen to have van EX2, so we'll use the public folder data store on van EX2. That's going to set up the replica. We can see that you are going to use the default replication schedule, but we could, if we wanted to, specify a different schedule for replication. Advantage of using replicas is the fact that we're moving the data closer to the user and potentially cutting down on bandwidth utilization. Other things we've got here as well as limits, so we've got issue warning at a certain amount of size when it fills up, prohibit post, the equivalent of prohibit send in the case of mailbox databases. Maximum item size, self-explanatory really. How big is the item we can put in here? We've got deleted item retention, so if we do delete something we can get it back, and we've also got age limits as well for the replicas. So rather than have the replica just continually having the data on there, it might be something like a job advert that we want to expire after, say, 30 days. So we set up the replica, we click OK. Other ways that we can manage our public folders is we can manage them through either Outlook or we can also do them through the management shell. Now the downside of using the management console at this point here is I can't really set permissions on those folders. I could through Outlook or I could through the management shell. So next thing to do, just launch up the management. Here we go, management shell's up and running. So what I'll do here is I'll just run one of the commands that I've already typed in. And the thing I want to have a look at here is the public folder client permissions for the sales folder. So we can see the various permissions that we have in place. Let's do the same thing for the IT. So we can see the various permissions on IT. And what we can see here is Jason, who's our IT administrator. He does have permissions to the sales folder, but at this point here, not to the IT folder. So one of the things I want to do for Jason is just give him some permissions. Already, yet again, typed in the command just to save a bit of time. But what we'll do here, we'll just specify that he's going to look after the IT public folder. So what this is going to do here, it's going to set up some client permissions for Jason. Sitting on the IT folder, we're going to give him access rights to edit all items. So you can see permissions assigned. Just to verify those permissions have been assigned, we'll do the get-public folder client permissions. And as we can see here now, Jason Carlson does have permissions. The other way to assign permissions is through Microsoft Outlook. So what we'll do here is just launch up our client machine. And on our client machine, we have Outlook already open. We'll come to public folders. We'll have a look at all public folders, and we can see a number of different public folders here. Let's go for our IT public folder and have a look at the properties. See the general information here. I can put a description in there. Click on my home page. So in the case of this, an address for the folder itself. Admission settings for things like folder assistant. If it's a moderated folder, we'll want to set this up so somebody has to authenticate before it's published. Forms associated with the folder, but most importantly, we have the permissions tab. Much easier to do through here than it is to do through the management shell. We've got read permissions, write permissions, delete permissions. Other things as well, can we see the folder or is it hidden? What's quite nice about Microsoft Outlook is the ability to create new public folders. What we can also do here as well is we can actually specify exactly what this folder is going to be used for. So what I'll do here is I'll set up an IT tasks. Click OK. That creates my IT tasks folder. If we right click, have a look at the properties, again we could come in, assign permissions. So that's Microsoft Outlook 2007, assigning permissions. Near enough the same in Outlook 2010. So that's the end of this demonstration.